Hello, everybody on live. Happy Tuesday. It's so good to be here with you guys again today, and I'm talking about something that is so important and one of the most fundamental parts of mental health that is often not talked about in therapy or in therapeutic settings, but is really one of the most fundamental things that affects your mental health, your well-being, your state of mind, and really just how you experience the world. So say hello if you're here. By the way, I know a lot of you watch this or will watch the replay, and I have a lot of people who tend to send me private messages and asking me questions, and that's awesome. But just let me know that you're here. Put a comment below. It's always good to know who's here. It's always good to feel connected to my community and actually know who I'm talking to. So Topher's one person. Hey man, good to see you. So like I said, today we're talking about beliefs, and specifically the core beliefs that tend to cause anxiety and really just an overall sense of unease and living from that kind of sense of unease and things are not okay. So specifically, the way that I like to think about beliefs is like the sunglasses that you wear, right? So I remember one time I was with this friend of mine and we were like riding our bikes, and I had on this pair of sunglasses and they were pink shades, and I totally forgot that they were like pink shades, that I was wearing like pinkish. They had a little bit of pinkish. So I was looking out at the sunset and I was like, dude, can you see those, like that sun is like bright pink. Doesn't that look amazing? Or isn't that crazy? Isn't that like gorgeous? Can you believe that? She's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a yellow sun. I mean, it's kind of nice, but it's just a sun. And for like a minute and a half, we were going back and forth until I realized that I was wearing these pink shades, and therefore I was seeing the sun as pink, right? And so I started laughing, but it was such an amazing metaphor because it is like the colors that you're wearing are the beliefs that you have, and it's how you see and experience the world, right? So if you're a little kid and like you believe in Santa Claus, when you see Santa Claus, you get like so excited, right? Like freaked out, like, oh my God, this is the best moment ever. But if you don't believe in Santa Claus, if you don't have that belief system, then when you see Santa Claus, you're like, okay, cool, that's a thing, but it doesn't really affect you, right? And so that's really the power of beliefs. They completely control your emotions, how you think about things, how you process things, and how you experience things, right? So when I'm working with people who really struggle with just like anxiety and unease and all that kind of stuff, and God knows this was true for me for so many years as well, there are 5 beliefs that I consistently see coloring their world and creating these negative and anxious emotional experiences. If you're hearing something that sounds like a gunshot in the background, that's just my heater in New York kind of going a little crazy to keep us warm in these cold temperatures. So ignore that and we will continue going. And let me know if you can relate to that if you're on the East Coast right now. So the first belief that I see constantly in people who struggle with anxiety is this belief that I am all alone, right? And so what that basically means is like, when you were a kid, you experienced a sense of separateness. So maybe you were just different than a lot of people in your family, or maybe you had to spend a lot of time alone because there was other stuff going on in your family or whatever, right? And again, I don't believe in like blaming our parents or like causing all this drama that we need to hate people for. No, right? Our parents are always doing the best they can. Sometimes that was awesome, sometimes not. We're not here to blame people. We're just here to be like super real about why we have the experiences that we have, right? Why we have the perspectives and beliefs. So you have this idea that you are all alone, right? And that was like the color shades that you were wearing. And so when you started going to school, you would see people as like separate or different from you. You would be used to having this feeling that you like don't fit in and that you're alone in some way, right? And so immediately till date today, like you go to a place and your immediate assumption is, I'm probably not going to fit in. I'm probably going to be alone. I'm probably going to be separate. I'm probably going to be different. I'm probably not going to have connection, right? And again, if that's the color sunglasses that you're wearing, guess what you're going to be paying attention to in that experience? Guess what you're going to be seeing, right? Guess what you're going to know how to recognize and experience? Feeling alone, right? And when we talk about anxiety, what is anxiety? Anxiety is this constant nagging sense that you're not okay, that you don't have one of your core needs of survival really met. And what are our core needs as human beings? Well, primarily it boils down to safety and love and growth. And so in this scenario, right, when you go to these places and you're kind of assuming that there will be a disconnection there or a separateness or that you'll feel alone, your core need isn't met, right? Which is love and which is safety in that social situation, right? Safety of not feeling like a moron or bad or the loser or whatever, right? Not feeling loved, So when you have those beliefs that I am alone, that's how you go and see the world, right? And then, of course, that makes you feel anxious, right? Naturally. And that paints every single experience to align with that way of thinking and seeing and experiencing the world. All right, so that was belief number 1. And don't worry, obviously, when we get to the ends of these 5 beliefs, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to start undoing these beliefs and how to create new beliefs instead. So the second belief that I see all the time is people saying, I'm incomplete, right? So there's something missing. There's something wrong, right? Like there's something incomplete about me. And I see this so often in like the personal development and like self-help space especially, right? There's just like always like a new technique or like a new thing you need to master, like the one thing that you need to learn to like be happier, better, or smarter, or more like whatever it is that, wealthy, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, right? There's always one more thing. And so there's this inherent built-in narrative in our society that like never enough. Never enough, never enough, never enough. Something's missing, something you have to grow more, right? And to an extent that can even be motivating and cool, like, oh cool, I get to go and learn this new thing. I need to get to learn and grow in this way. This is fun, this is exciting. I enjoy the sense of progress. But that's not the way that most anxious people tend to experience life, right? It's more like, oh my God, I'm not going to be good enough here. I'm not going to be good enough here. I'm not going to be good enough here. I'll have to do more. I'll have to do more. I'm not going to measure up. I'm not going to measure up, right? So again, coming back to those core needs of safety and love and growth, right? You don't have this sense of safety that like, I'm going to be good enough. I'm going to show up to work today and just I feel like I'm going to be good enough there, right? Or I'm going to like hang out with, go to this party and meet people and I'm just like naturally going to feel like I'm good enough there, right? No. Anxious people say, I'm not going to be good enough. There's going to be something wrong with me, something missing. I'm going to be awkward. I'm not going to have the social skills, or I'm not going to have the presentation skills, or I'm not going to have whatever, right? There's an inherent sense of something missing. And that's how you experience the whole world. And of course that creates anxiety. So the third very, very, very common belief, which adds a little bit on top of what I was just talking about, is I'm worthless, right? And so this is not about not necessarily like something missing, but just like not feeling worthy. Like whoever you are and as you are is just not worthy of those same core needs, love or growth or whatever, right? So I have a client who, was just saying to me the other day, we were like, working on this resume for her dream job. And like, she was like, like the more and more I write this and the more I tell them how bad I want this job, the more I actually feel like I'm not worthy of this job at all. And I'm like, well, no wonder you were self-sabotaging for 12 months and refusing to, and you weren't getting yourself to apply for jobs and felt like you needed to come to a life coach, because underneath all of this was this sense of like, I don't deserve this job. There's someone else who deserves it more than me. There's someone else who's more worthy than me. There's someone else who's better than me, right? So again, this is a sense of like comparison that comes in. And so a lot of times this stuff starts at childhood, right? This kind of just general sense of I don't deserve that, right? Because we grow up in this society where it's like, you deserve a prize, you deserve mom's affection, you deserve to graduate and go to the next grade, like you deserve this, right? And there are certain conditions of like deservingness that you have to meet in order to get like whatever prize of love, right? And so again, this just sense of like, I'm not worth it. And if you feel like you're not worthy of the core things that are required for a human to be happy and healthy, like love, if you don't feel like you're worthy of someone's pure unconditional love because you have too many issues or you have too many whatever, then guess what? You are going to feel anxious. because you are always going to feel like one of those core needs that is absolutely essential to feeling peace and calm and joy and happiness and fulfillment can't be met. So let's move on to belief number 4. So belief number 4 is I am powerless, right? So this is another one that I see all the time. Another way of talking about this is the victim stance, right? So it's like, I really, really want to be a professional actor, but they don't pay well. Or I want to be I want to be an artist, but those jobs are too competitive, right? And so whatever it is, right? Like it's this, or like I really want to have a relationship with him, but he won't stop, blah, 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 right? And so there's this like powerlessness, right? I hear the powerless narrative all of the time in the world of romantic relationships, right? It's like, I want love, I want more affection, I want more authenticity, I want more whatever, and this person won't give it to me, right? And so I'm a victim, poor me, like wah, 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 right? And so certainly there are tough times in life, and certainly there are things that happen to us that are outside of our control. Absolutely. That's a real thing, and I'm not undermining that. But what I am saying is that there is never a time in your life where you are 100% victim. Because even if you can't change the circumstance, you can absolutely change the way that you think about the circumstance. You can change the way that you show up to that circumstance, right? But this idea that life happens to me and I just have to sit back and wait for it, obviously that's going to make you anxious, darling, right? Like if you're thinking like, well, I don't know how he's going to treat me. I don't know if I'm going to have this job. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get those core needs met, right? That's dependent on the rest of the world and not me. Well, that's that victim stance, that victim mentality. And obviously if you're always waiting for the world to determine how your life goes and how you feel, that's going to make you feel anxious because you can't control the world. You don't have you don't have tremendous influence over how other things or other people act. And then the 5th belief that I see causes anxiety very, very, very frequently is this idea that I am unlovable in some way, right? And I think that we all have this to some extent, but definitely people who had, troubling childhoods believe this even more, because like that's when we get this fundamental sense of like a worthiness of love or not, right? And so I am unlovable. Like in my life that manifested as me just like under dating all the time, like dating guys who would cheat on me or dating guys who would would just like not be on my level at all with anything I cared about in life. And that was just me saying like, well, I'm not really like fully lovable as my full self by like, a person on my level, or someone who can like meet me at the same level intellectually and spiritually and everything else. But this person, who's way too broken themselves to even give me the true love, like that can be in my life, right? So there was this like sense of like, I'm not really lovable in the full sense of the term, right? And again, I keep mentioning love is one of the 3 core human needs, right? And deep unconditional love, that kind of love that we all crave, which goes beyond like judgment or attraction, and is just this kind of unconditional, open-hearted presence that we all have the gift of having in a few places in our lives, I hope. And so, but if you fundamentally believe that you are unlovable or you cannot get that need met, then you are going to feel anxious, because what is life without love, right? Nobody wants to live in a life without love. And if you think about it, really the opposite of anxiety is love, right? The opposite of fear is love. When you feel scared, when you feel anxious, when you feel upset or freaked out or worried, what do you want? You want a hug, you want comfort, you want care, right? You want TLC. So love is the opposite of fear. And so if you don't think that you are lovable in some way, you will live in fear. And so obviously, right? Like there's many, many, many reasons why you could have developed these beliefs, right? How these sunglasses kind of got put on your face without you even noticing. But now the awesome thing about life and positive psychology and just where we are in the world today is that we all know that you can fundamentally go in and change those beliefs. Gosh knows I have gone in and changed those beliefs, and I've worked with hundreds of people who've done the same thing. So I know it's very, very much possible, right? And so when you start to want to develop new beliefs, the best way to do it is just to go, okay, which one of these beliefs is most powerful in my life of those 5 that I listed, right? So I am alone, I'm incomplete, I'm worthless, I'm powerless, I'm unlovable, right? Which one is like the one that really persistently comes up for me and causes me to feel anxious, right? And then what you want to do is you just want to start actively practicing the opposite belief. So for example, rather than saying I am powerless all the time, I can't help it, this is out of my control, say I am in complete control. I am the owner of my life. I am in complete control. And then beyond saying that, go and look for actively that evidence, right? Put on those new sunglasses and imagine that in any scenario, the only thing that you were even capable of seeing was that color, was all the control that you did have, was all the power that you did have to change it. And again, maybe that was a change in your outer world, or maybe that's a change in your inner world, how you're choosing to think about something or whatever, right? And so you have the power to do this. Now, absolutely, your ego is going to pop up in this process and say, hold on, no. That old belief was a real thing. Look at all this evidence. You are powerless. Look, your boss fired you out of nowhere. You lost your job and you had to suffer for 6 months. That wasn't your fault. Look, you were powerless, right? Or look, that random guy cheated on you, and he said he was loving you. You would have never known. You are powerless, right? And your ego's going to come up with all this kind of stuff that's going to try to stop you and block you from having those new beliefs, right? And all I want to say to you is that, like, this is again where choice comes in, right? Those things were real in the past. Those things really affected you. They were so important and they really mattered. And I'm glad that you paid attention to them. And I'm glad that you know that they were real for you then. However, we are in the present moment, right? And now you get to move forward, right? And so you can say, okay, well, those stories are the ones that I chose to adopt then. That's how I chose to see the world then. But right now, the next time my boss fires me, I am going to see that as I'm going to intentionally put on my glasses that say I am powerful, I am in control of my life, and decide how to move forward from here, right? So I might say I'm going to, I'm going to, bring this to court. Or I might say, I'm going to know with full conviction that something else even better is going to come my way and that I was blessed not to have to work with this guy who's up and down anyway, right? Or I am going to, whatever it is, you can actively choose to have new beliefs and to look for the evidence to support that belief. But you have to make that choice. Nobody can do that except for you, right? And I think that that's what's divine about life, is that over and over we are given these choices and we get to say to ourselves, is now a time when I'm ready to believe a new story, right? And I think when you're ready to believe a new story, because you know that your old story is just causing so much pain, so much drama, that even if you want to believe it, even if it feels so real, you're just choosing to believe something else, to look for the evidence for something else, because that's what's going to make your life better. And ultimately, we're invested in your life being better and you being a happier, more fulfilled person. So I hope that this was helpful to you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing your comments, letting me know which one of those 5 beliefs tends to most impact or affect your life, and how you can start to look for some evidence, or maybe some evidence you've already begun to see through this talk today and through this live stream today, so that you can actually start to have a new hot pink pair of sunglasses on and see that sexy sunset the way that I did. All right, my loves, I will see you next week or sometime soon. Lots of love.